South Carolina waited a whole year after getting clapped in the Natty by UConn. Waited a whole year. Ended up playing UConn in the Final Four the next year. Left no doubt, absolutely dominated them, only to get dominated in the national championship game the next year by the UCLA Bruins. Welcome back to the Kevin McKickey YouTube channel. And this one hurts. It sucks. It feels like deja vu watching your team get absolutely destroyed in the Natty. It's not fun. I go back and forth and think about which I would rather have, really close ball game and losing in this way where, maybe if one thing goes your way, you end up the champions, or like this where you just get absolutely embarrassed. Both of them suck. Um, and neither of them are fun. But, we're at this point where it's championship or bust. And unfortunately, with the expectations that the Gamecock women's basketball team has placed upon themselves, unfortunately, this season is a failure. Every other team, a lot of other teams in the country would take a loss in the national championship game as a positive and a success and a successful season, but not Dawn Staley, not this team. They wanted to win the national championship again for Raven and have Raven win it with her high school bestie, Tanaya Latson, and get the stink off of last year. And unfortunately, with the expectations that they put upon themselves, any season that doesn't end in a championship is a failure. And that is the excellence that they put upon themselves. Now, I would argue that, still had an amazing season, still really outdid a lot of expectations with a lot of players not returning, a lot of new faces in the starting lineup, and Chloe Kitts, one of our best players, being out for the entire season. And we still managed to make it all the way back to the national championship game. And it's the third one in 3 years. We've made it to 3 straight national championships. So we're at the point where it's either championship or bust. And I know that this team wanted to win it for Raven, and unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Now, of the Final Four teams, of the teams that I would like to see win a championship, if it would not be for South Carolina, I would have wanted UCLA to win, and I'm glad they won. They won their first title. Lauren Betts and that whole senior class, that pretty much the entire lineup, is now going into the WNBA as national champions. And they'll never forget this moment, and I'm happy for them. I'd much rather have them than UConn win their billionth title and go back to back. Obviously, I hate Texas not only for being in the SEC, but just for the way that Vic Schaefer acts just rubs me the wrong way. Although him consoling Rory Harmon was a great, a very endearing moment. And I don't know what happened when Raven went off the court. I assume that she was crying. I'm assuming she was emotional. I watched most of the game. And then, of course, it being Easter, I, sat down with my family and had Easter dinner. So I wasn't able to see the very end of the game. But obviously, I the game was over by then. So I'll go back and I'll look and I'll see how it all played out. But this game just wasn't in the cards for South Carolina. It seemed like there was a lid on the hoop just for us. UCLA didn't have any problem making their shots, 43% from the field and 42% from three, while South Carolina shot 29% from the field and 13% from free, just 2 for 15 from 3-point range. on the day. And UCLA obviously ends up clapping us almost by 30 points, 79-51. It sucks. I don't want to roll it up as or chalk it up as South Carolina not being prepared. Obviously, they knew that this was the goal, to be in the national championship and to win it. I don't think it was a lack of preparation. I saw the locker room celebration, and Joyce Edwards was kind of muted because she said that they still had one more game to go, and they knew that their ultimate goal was to win a national championship, and they ultimately fell short of that goal. So I don't think that it was just, I don't think that, UConn was their Super Bowl, as people like to say, that, beating UConn was their national championship. I just think it wasn't their day. And it was time for UCLA. They have a great team. Lauren Betts is fantastic. She won most outstanding player in the tournament. Congratulations to her. Good for her going out on top, winning, the team's first championship in the NCAA era. Obviously, they have all those championships on the men's side, so it's nice that they get to hang a banner in Pauley Pavilion with the women's banner. And look, it sucks. It sucks making it all the way here to another championship game and failing, but this is what happens. This is what happens when you're excellent all the time. This is the bar that Dawn Staley has set. She has set excellence as a standard. And pretty much what's going to happen for the foreseeable future is that South Carolina is going to win a hell of a lot of basketball games, and they're going to be consistently a top 5 team. They might be number 1. They might start next season number 2 because they were runner-ups. But they'll always be in the mix with the UConns, the Texas, the tennis, the LSU's, all the teams in the country. That they're always going to be at the top. And when you're at the top and you win these many games, sometimes you're only going to have a few losses on the season, but those losses are going to be what define your season. South Carolina has not won a single championship this season. They were in the Players Era tournament, that little 14 tournament. They played in the championship game against Texas. They lost that. They played Texas again in the SEC tournament championship, and they got blown out in that game. And then they play the national championship game against UCLA, and they get blown out again. The only championship that they've won, you could say, was their regular season SEC championship game, the regular SEC championship. But when it came to playing in the tournament, South Carolina was 0 for 3. That's just kind of the way that it is this year. And it sucks that Raven Johnson, in her final game as a collegiate basketball player, puts up 3 points in 30 minutes, 1 for 7 from the field, and 0 for 4 from 3-point range. It sucks, but she's going to go. Even though that she lost this game, she's going to go out as a winner. Raven Johnson is going to go out as one of the winningest basketball players that we've ever seen. She won 2 national titles. She's been to a Final Four every single year that she was in college. And I don't think that she'll be mentioned with the likes of the Tarasis and the Candace Parkers and the Maya Moores and the Brianna Stewarts and the Caitlin Clarks, although she ended her career, and the Paige Beckers. But, I mean, Raven Johnson's legacy is already cemented as one of the best players in South Carolina history. I absolutely think that she deserves her number retired, and I absolutely believe that she deserves a statue outside of Colonial Life Arena right next to Asia Wilson, and also it's not next to Colonial Life Arena, but Dawn Staley has a statue as well. I think the third basketball well, I would say member of the team, because Dawn Staley is a head coach, but the third person on this team that deserves a statue is definitely Raven Johnson. She's not always going to have the best offensive stats. We saw that early in her career, but the way that she's been able to learn under Dawn Staley, who apparently doesn't develop guards, the way that she's been able to build her career and have a better season each year that she's played is very remarkable and very impressive, and something that should be admired. I am going to miss Raven Johnson deeply, and I'm going to be going through a bit of a mourning period. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I never get to see Raven Johnson play basketball again. She's such a sweet person. She's very kind. I had the opportunity to meet her once. I met the whole team after they won the national championship in 2024, their undefeated season. She was very nice, and she's definitely going to be missed. Now, obviously, with her departure, it's going to take a hit on this team, but I don't expect South Carolina to really miss a step. They're getting Chloe Kitts back next year. Fingers crossed that we get Ashlyn Watkins back. I don't even know what her situation is, what she's going through, if she's even going to step foot on a basketball court ever again. I hope that she comes back. We're also going to be getting Jersey Robinson, our top recruit. She'll be back. She'll be coming in this year, or I guess next year. Agot McKeer is going to have her sophomore season. Maybe she ends up in the starting lineup after having so many great performances off the bench in March Madness. Tessa Johnson, I can't believe Tessa Johnson's going to be here in her senior season. Seems like just yesterday she was a freshman, tearing up the tournament Tessa. So she'll be back next year. Obviously, Medina Okot won't be back next year, but I still think that Dawn Staley is the cream of the crop when it comes to coaches, and I don't think that these last two national championship game blowouts really affect anything. I mean, Dawn Staley took a program that was on its last legs, didn't have anything going for it, and she completely built this program from the ground up. We would not be in this spot if it's not for Dawn Staley. So she's still one of the greatest basketball coaches out there. I still love her. We still ride with Dawn. I'm still so proud of this team. I'm obviously disappointed with the result of the game, but it's impossible. And I do think that technically, in their eyes, this is a failed season because they wanted to win a national championship and they didn't end up doing that. But I don't think it was a failure overall. It was a lot of fun watching this team. I can't wait for November to come around and to see these girls play again. I'm very excited. I get so much joy out of watching them play, and I can't wait to see them again next year. So that does it, not just for this video, but for this season. I will never be able to talk about Raven Johnson in the context of being a South Carolina Gamecock ever again. That makes me very upset. But that does it for this video, and that does it for this season. Thank you for tuning in and watching all of these videos. If you have, seeing all my reviews, if you want, you can look at all the Gamecock women's basketball games that I've recapped on one of my playlists on my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to clown on South Carolina for losing the Natty, go right ahead, drop a comment. If you like the video, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you want to follow me on social media, follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Kevin Bulkicki. Otherwise, we will see you again next time. Thank you.